cut it a little shorter than that.
Yeah,
so.
but unfortunately, Chief, that started 2 hours ago.
so-
Okay, so you only got a half hour left
I got
of your
you.
allotted
So-
time.
So this year, I spent a lot of time on this year's budget. We took a very different approach to this year's budget, really trying to dive into it, knowing that it's a much different budget than in years past. In years past, we've always just looked at previous year's budget, seen where we were a little short in the line items, and kind of just looked at the industry trends on cost increases and kind of just took a general approach and just bumped up things, and that's kind of how we just did previous budgets. However, this year's budget's a little bit different because of the new station. So prior to looking at those numbers, we looked at ways that we can kind of cut things out of our budget, knowing we were going to have to increase our budget because of the new station. So Brittany and I focused in the last year on finding ways to cut our budget, different things. We cut a couple contracts out that we knew that we didn't need, but we also found areas that we needed, that we knew we were short in. So that was our approach that we took. So then we were in contract negotiations. We finally settled that contract, and then we're opening up our station. So
Excuse me, the new station opens up in fiscal '27, right?
it does.
Okay.
We're anticipating October-ish opening up. So soft opening sometime like July, August. It should be operating-ish, somewhere right around there. And then we will be fully operating both stations October, November, somewhere around there. So we'll be operating both stations, the fire department. So there's the challenge. We've never operated historically in the fire department history. We've never operated two stations simultaneously staffed before. So there's our challenge. So having had many conversations with Andrew and Ashley to try to figure out the operational costs, we're not sure, right? This is going to be, we know that this year is going to be kind of a guess. And we're going to build next year's budget off of this year's guess, right? And we took a really good approach to this year. So we knew that we were going to have to hire some bodies for the opening of this station. We knew we were having to hire 4 bodies to open up this station. And we knew that our minimum staffing was going to have to change in order to staff both stations adequately. So this is the approach that we took to put this budget forward. Currently, our minimum staffing does not sustain opening both stations. We have to change our minimum staffing in order to do it.
6, I thought, was the
We
number?
currently have 6 firefighters, but we go down to 4 firefighters in order to, is our minimum. So that allows 3 firefighters to be off before it incurs overtime. But we can't do that in the new station. We can't go down to 4 firefighters and staff 2 stations. It'd be unreasonable. So hiring 4 firefighters puts us up to 7 firefighters, but we have to increase our minimum staffing to 6. So we would run 4 firefighters at one station and 2 firefighters at the other station. Now, some would say, why not run 3 and 3, right? Well, if one ambulance goes out of one station and one ambulance goes out of the other station, well, now I have 1 firefighter in one station and 1 firefighter in the other station, and that really doesn't make any sense. Now, if a third call comes in, I can't do anything. I have 1 and 1. So having 4 firefighters at Oxford Road, where there's going to be 2 ambulances, at least they can get that third ambulance on the road. So that's another operational change that we're going to do moving forward. Is currently our third ambulance is not a staffed ambulance. It doesn't run. It's essentially runs as a spare ambulance. When one of our primary ambulances go down, we bring that third ambulance down to the station. We move all the ALS equipment over to that ambulance, and we now run that third ambulance. I'm changing that. once we open up this station, we're actually bringing that third ambulance up to an ALS licensed ambulance, and we will start running that ambulance as an ALS licensed ambulance. We miss a lot of ambulance calls. We have to give a lot of ambulance calls away to mutual aid because we don't have the staffing to run that third ambulance. Plus, it's at that other station, which isn't a manned station. So there's a delay in us going up to that other station. Plus, like I said, we don't have the personnel. So by us going to 6 firefighters to a minimum, and we'll talk a little bit about our staffing in a minute, we'll be able to run that third ambulance, which will give us an additional revenue coming in. Last year, we had a historical 10% increase in call volume. We were just shy of 3,000 runs. We've never been that close to 3,000 runs. We're already 13% increase in call volume already this year than where we were last year at this time. Our call volume it continues to climb every day.
What would you attribute that to, Rob?
It's just an increased demand in ambulance calls. Everybody's just increase. Our ambulance is just nonstop.
Okay.
There's no one particular thing. There's no major facility that just got built. There's just nothing. It's just an increase in demand and people calling for the ambulance. It would be different if all of a sudden an urgent care center got built and I could say it's because of that facility. It's not. There's not one particular facility. It's just ambulance calls. Mutual aid requests, us going and helping out other communities is there, and I think that is just going to continue to climb as well. So by us being able to provide that third ambulance, it's going to bring in additional revenue to the town, and you'll see that a little bit. We can talk a little bit about that. So in my presentation, we talked about our operating costs, operational costs in this budget. I looked at expanding our service demands, our medical equipment maintenance, our required annual hose testing, NFPA standards. In the last few years, we didn't meet NFPA standards with our hose testing. We had a lot of lost hose last year. We didn't test our hose every year. We tested it every other year. So I decided to change that and do it every year to meet NFPA standards. Looking to continue funding our turnout gear replacement. As you know, last year, becoming the fire chief, I committed to going to PFAS-free turnout gear. So looking to continue funding that, and then added additional funding for the additional firefighters there. I don't have enough funds normally. I have enough funds normally to replace our gear on our regular rotation. However, if I hire 5 firefighters all at once, and you'll see where I had it 5 instead of 4, I don't have enough to do all of them. So I would need just a one-time purchase just to get those 5 all at once. And then my normal replacement plan would continue.
Excuse me, Chief. So, Andy, the capital requests that I hear are coming. Those will be a separate warrant article.
Correct.
Correct. They're not going to be part of this operational budget.
In the budget plan, the requested is to continue our cancer and cardiac screening program that we've been doing for the last several years. We're lucky through DFS that some of our firefighters can get their screenings through DFS at no cost as long as they meet a certain criteria, age 40 years and above, both men and women. So we do have some savings with that. We're just looking for a small increase in that line item so we can include annual hearing exams for our firefighters. We do prioritize our firefighters that are nearing retirement age. We ensure that they get a screening as well just before they retire, so they can get one last screening in. Other expenses, vehicle maintenance has always been something that we have struggled with due to the rising costs of vehicle maintenance and labor costs at garages. However, we are very lucky now. We have a certified EVT firefighter in our building. So we are changing our approach. We have changed our approach, and we are now changing our approach moving forward. He does our maintenance in-house. So we don't have to send our vehicles out anymore and pay the $200 labor charge to a person. So yes, we had to pay for him to get his certification. So I've incurred that through our training budget. However, we pay much less charge by just paying him his overtime rate. So you'll see in my overtime budget, we have a slight increase in our overtime budget. However, we are going to end up saving by not going significantly over every year in my maintenance budget by, we're already out of maintenance money. We've been out of maintenance money now for the last 2 months. But that's because we had $27,000 of expenses last July, August, September that we weren't expecting, that we could have avoided if we didn't have to send our vehicles out.
That was truck maintenance, not building maintenance.
Truck maintenance, we could have avoided if we didn't have to send our vehicles out. Now we'll probably be able to get around that by having our own person in-house. So our plan, our hope is that moving forward, we should be able to get around a lot of these really high maintenance bills. And our firefighter does most of our PMs now in-house, and he's already drastically reduced our maintenance costs. So that's a huge cost savings that we believe is going to take effect. Now we believe our maintenance line item is going to be there or even less moving forward because of him doing the work in-house. Now we only pay the part, and we pay his overtime rate, which is a quarter of what the labor charge normally is when we send a vehicle out. Then we don't lose our vehicle for days and days and days. We don't pay a detail for a firefighter to have to bring the vehicle, and then pay another detail for a firefighter to go pick up the vehicle. So we have a significant savings by having him in-house.
So you're gonna be stationed at the new
Yeah,
station?
yeah.
Do you have all the right equipment to do the kind of repairs?
So
you're
he
talking?
actually has it on his own. He actually has a trailer that he brings to the station, and we've budgeted 8 hours a week, every week, for him to come in and do repairs on the vehicles versus, with preventative maintenance and regular repairs. There's gonna be some times that we're just gonna have to send it out, but I think that's gonna be drastically reduced by him doing the repairs in the station.
Right.
And he has all of the required certifications.
He's not gonna replace the transmission.
No, but he'll be able to do a lot of this stuff,
Right.
instead of us having to send it out.
Alternators, electrical.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, AC,
Yep.
yeah.
So our staffing requests, we talked about the 4 firefighters to bring our staffing up to 28 firefighters. That will be 4 groups of 7 firefighters. We'll operate out of 2 stations simultaneously, 1 captain and 3 firefighters at 1 station, and a lieutenant and 2 firefighters at the power station road station. That's how we're gonna be divided up. So we'll have an officer and 2 at 1 station, and then an officer and 3 at the other station. And dropping to 6 is our minimum manning. Captain and 3 at Oxford Road, and the lieutenant and 1 firefighter at Power Station will be our minimum staffing. Nearly 10% increase in call volume last year, and we've already, like I said, increased 13% increase to date this year. And I ran a statistic to see if our fluctuation month to month, maybe we have a really busy January, maybe we have a very busy February, thinking maybe that's why we have a spike in call volume. Historically, we do not. We do not have a spike in month to month. Our month to month call volume stays the same every single month. We do not have spikes in calls. So I don't think we're gonna see a drop in call volume. I think it's gonna stay the same or continue to climb, so. The other request that you'll see in the budget is to add in some, what we call per diem staffing, per diem call firefighter, however you want to term it. We're not gonna call it the traditional call firefighters, where call firefighters, they wear pagers, they sit at home, they come in when there's a fire. It's more along the line of per diem staffing. More fire departments are going to this per diem model. So, talking to Andrew and some other fire chiefs around the area, the per diem model is working more often than the call firefighter model. So the per diem model that I'm proposing is, these are firefighter paramedics or firefighter EMTs already. They would work a shift, 7A to 7P, 7 days a week. And at a significant savings to the town. Now we're not paying benefits, we're not bringing them on, they're not full-time firefighters. Some of them are firefighters in other communities, they already have the training, and they just come here, it's like a part-time job for them. And it allows us to put an extra body on the floor, and we don't have to bring them on to our salary. We don't have to bring them onto our payroll as a full-time employee. They're just a per diem. It's just an extra job. Prior to me becoming the fire chief, it's what I did in the town of Dudley as a part-time job. Many people do it. Many departments are going that route. So one of the benefits of doing it is, especially the firefighter EMTs, they would work the Saturday, Sunday shift. We bring them in, we get them the training, costs us nothing to send them to the fire academy, it's free for us, and then they work Saturday and Sunday. It's a way to bring them into the door, gets them into the door, gets them interested into the fire service. And it's like a job interview. It's like an on-the-job job interview. And then we have an opening in the department. We have an opening right now. It'd be very easy for me to post the position, and then I have a firefighter that's been working for us Saturdays and Sundays. They show up to work, they do the job, they do the shift, they work the ambulance, they do this, they do that. And all of a sudden they apply for the position, and we know what we're getting, and we hire them. And we pay them a dollar amount. It's, less than what we pay a career firefighter, and then we can hire that person. And it's a savings to the town. Instead of me paying a full-time firefighter and coming to you and saying, hey, I need 8 bodies or 9 bodies or 10 bodies, I say, hey, give me a per diem firefighter. So we would have this person on staff 7 days a week. So if all 7 firefighters are working, it would bring our staffing up to 8. So how does 8 help us out? 8 firefighters working, because they're all certified firefighters. They would all have the same certification. It allows us to put 3 ambulances on the road and allow us to put a 2-person engine company on the road. So if all 3 ambulances are out of the building doing ambulance calls, I could still respond to a car fire and have a 2-person engine company. Pretty good. I could have, if my EMS officer's in the building, I could have all 3 ambulances go out the door, and I can have a 3-person engine company go out the door. If everybody's in the building, I could actually probably respond multiple apparatus to a reported structure fire, because I could actually have 8, 9 if my EMS officer's in the building, 10 if my fire inspector's in the building, 11 if my second fire inspector's in the building. So it just gives us that, really that ability to respond effectively. And they would only be there during the day. I wouldn't have them there at night because our call volume is a lot less at night. So I feel that it's important to have them during the daytime where we have a greater use for them during the daytime. So that's the reason why I have them there 7A to 7P. Our shift change is at 8 o'clock. So I don't want them there at 8 o'clock. I want them there at 7 o'clock to kind of help us with the shift change time to reduce people from getting out late. It's a little bit of a overtime savings. They come in at 7 o'clock, they relieve the person off the ambulance at 7 o'clock, so that way I'm not having a firefighter getting out late, and savings a little bit of some overtime cost there as well.
How often do you send an engine company with an ambulance? I see it on occasion.
So we normally send a chase vehicle or a response vehicle, support vehicle. You'll see that in one of my capital requests. But if you see an engine going, it's either a motor vehicle accident they go with to help out with specialized tools, or it's a critical call where they need to respond with multiple people to help out on the call instead of just one extra body. If it's just a regular medical, they just go with one extra body in a support vehicle. But if comes in as a high priority call and there's more than one person that's needed, they'll respond with the engine. I prefer that instead of them responding with two people in a support vehicle, because when they clear that medical with 2 people in a support vehicle and another call comes in, they really can't do nothing in a support vehicle with 2 people. So I'd rather clear that medical with an engine company if another call comes in. So that's why.
Okay.
So that's the reason why that you'll see that per diem request comes in. Right now, we have a call firefighter she works the overnight schedule. That position would go away. We don't need that overnight position anymore by adding our staffing up to 7. So she's fully aware that that program, that overnight EMS schedule is going to go away come July 1 or once we hire these people. So we would take that 25,000, we would keep it, but we would just add an additional dollar amount to bring on these per diem staffing. And I talked to Ashley and Andrew about it. We would see how it goes, and if it seems like it's going well, then we would leave it. And if it doesn't, if it seems like it's not, then we would eliminate it type thing. But I think many towns are doing it. More and more towns are doing it because it is a very successful program, more so than the call firefighter program. We're not seeing the callbacks. Every time our ambulance goes out of town and our minimum staffing drops below where we need it, we hit a tone for off-duty firefighters to come back to staff our station to bring it back up to our minimum staffing. And we're getting less and less of that to happen because more firefighters are living further away. So by bringing this per diem on and bringing us up to 8 firefighters, we wouldn't have to rely on that, which would essentially reduce the number of overtime that we would have to give out. Our callback minimum is a 4-hour minimum now, so we could have a little savings with that as well. So
It sounds like, I'm trying to get to the science of what the right department number is, and there's call volumes, there's the apparatus that we support, there's the 2 stations, there's maybe the number of people in the town. I don't exactly know. I know all towns are different too. When you look at across the state and comparative towns, it's really hard to put a number on it. And I don't know if you can even answer it, but is this would you expect, if this all did work out and call volumes stayed, somewhat relatively consistent, an ask in the future for additional heads? Or is this kind of your ideal kind of setup that would, as far as the new station, as far as the call volume, the apparatus we have to support, the shifts we have to support?
I think it's an interesting question. I think you'll see our call volume always continue to climb.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think our call volume will ever stay the same. Historically, since I've been there in the last 12 years, our call volume, we've only had 1 year that it's dropped. And that was in 2020, the COVID year. Everybody's call volume dropped because nobody wanted to leave their house. But every other year, call volume has continued to climb, and as call volume climbs, you're gonna just see an increase demand for personnel and strain. I think ideally the town of Charlton in the next 10 years should expect to see 9 people to a shift. So we'll be at 7 if this funding goes through. I think in 3 years, you probably should expect to see another request for 4 more to see us at 8. And I think probably 3 years after that to see us, assuming our call volume continues the way it goes, to see us probably at 9 at that point. Assuming that, like I said, our call volume continues to go the way I think it's gonna go.
Okay.
And I think 9 would be, in my opinion, the number we probably would be at. 9 with a 7-person minimum
Okay.
is where I think we would be at. 9 7-person minimum with a per diem to keep us at 8 is, I think, where if I had to give you my professional opinion, where I think we should aim to be at.
Fair enough.
9.
Current national standards are 6, correct?
No, I wouldn't.
Well,
No, I wouldn't say that at all.
No?
Our current standard would be we're below that. Yeah. But I think if we could aim for 9 with a 7-person minimum, with a per diem person on during the daytime, in the next 7 years or so, I think we'd be okay. I plan on going for a SAFER grant. I think, that would be helpful for the community. to try to offset the cost, to defer the cost a little bit in the next go-around and for the next 4. But I think it's all dependent on the call volume as well, you know.
Yeah, it seems like that's the thing you keep harping on, is kind of like the big metric that you're trying to
Yeah.
tie to as far as your,
Yeah, Amazon, you know, Amazon, when they came in, they brought in about 1.5 calls per day, 1.5, 2 calls per day, and they estimated that. We knew that that was gonna happen, and they were probably right there. And there's another 3 million square foot facility that potentially is gonna come in, and that has the potential of bringing in essentially the same call volume. So, as we know, you know, I sit in the planning board meetings and I tell them the same thing. Growth is great. Everybody likes growth, but with growth comes call volume, and with call volume comes demand, and with demand comes personnel. So,
with the personnel, you know, request that you're putting in. I know like we've lost some people, and obviously the deputy chief and some of the others, and I've heard like Auburn is like a big, you know, is any concerns there or any rationale behind that you're seeing, or concerns about, you know, bringing people on as
So-
far as the pool that's out there?
so contract shopping is, it's what it's called nowadays.
Okay.
Unfortunately, every community is suffering from it. Everybody is dealing with it. There's another community not too far away. They're down 7 positions. I just completed a class with 43 other fire chiefs, and on day 1 of the class, they asked all 43 chiefs to raise their hand and state how many open positions they had. And out of the 43 chiefs, there was 196 open positions in the 43 communities. So everybody is dealing with it, and people just, they're jumping from, you know, person to person. I was in a conference today, and the 10.5% of the workforce of men between the age of 25 and 55 in the country do not work. 10.5% of the entire country between the ages of 25 and 55 do not work. And they're contributing that to this huge decline in this workforce. So do I think it's gonna be a problem? I don't know, you know, when we went into negotiations, Andrew and I worked very hard, and Lynn and the Board of Selectmen, to make sure that we got a contract that was built on retention and recruitment. And I think we did. So we are hired, you know, we have an interview tomorrow, hopefully gonna be making a job offer to fill our last position. We didn't even advertise for this last position. We posted it on the town website, and we had 13 applicants. So we're getting plenty of applicants that are coming into us. So we're hopefully, you know, making a good name for ourselves. It's just contract shopping is a big deal that takes place nowadays. But I think we have a pretty solid contract now. So.
Okay.
So, like I said, per diem personnel allow consistent placement of that 3rd ambulance, improve fire ground staffing, reduce reliance on that mutual aid, and provide a recruitment pipeline for future full-time hires. We're also asking for a fire prevention inspection and an all-hazard planner. It is something that we have been lacking for a number of years. We were looking for a second fire inspector earlier this year, and we deferred it until this next budget cycle. Having had conversations with Ashley, I think we would also be looking to most likely defer this probably for half the year. I don't think we'd probably look to fund this until most likely a January position. I don't think we'd fund it. I don't think I'd look for it for the full year anyway, only because of bodies. You know, I don't think I'd have a place to put them anyway until the station is fully open. So even if you funded it, yeah, I wouldn't need it, and I can't use them in July anyway. I don't have any place to put them. But the reason for it is the growth of our town is, it's too much for one fire inspector. We have a new fire inspector right now, Jeff Clark. Jeff is doing an amazing job. One of the things that we recognized or I recognized over the last year, is the number of inspectional duties that we just weren't able to do. Dennis was doing a great job beforehand, but we just weren't able to do all of the inspectional duties that we were trying to do. So we went through and we did an analysis of all of the towns around us on the inspections that they were doing. And we looked at all of the inspections that we weren't able to do. And the number of inspections was pretty high, and we just didn't have the time to do them. So, looking at splitting the duties between 2 inspections, and with the commercial growth that we have, our large facilities, the quarterly inspections, the new facility potentially looks like coming into town. We don't do construction dumpster permits, which is a huge problem that we have. We don't do food and truck inspections with the Board of Health. Jimmy Philbrook did over 250 inspections last year, and we didn't do any of them, which are required. There's just a number of inspections that we're just not able to do. And if we said, hey, we want to do everything that we're required to do, there's just no way that we would be able to do them. So looking to bring on this additional person, talking to Andrew, as also bringing on some of the EMD duties back into the fire department as an all-hazard planner, we would take on some of that aspects of it. So drafted a job description for him. He would do the residential duties of a home, of the fire inspector 3 days of the week, and he would focus on EMD 1 day. So Tuesdays, he would be emergency management, and then on Wednesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays, he would be the fire inspector for residential, propane, construction dumpsters. He would assist with the critical facilities with the other fire inspector. It would also give us a fire inspector in the building 5 days a week. Currently, the fire inspector only works Monday through Thursday, so on Fridays, we don't have a fire inspector. So now we would have a fire inspector 1 day, Monday through Thursday, and then the other inspector would work Tuesday through Friday. So they would have an overlap of a fire inspectional duties. They wouldn't be allowed to take the same week off on vacation, so we would make sure that we have that type of an overlap. They would know both of their duties. They would know each other's jobs, but if somebody had a specific request for a commercial sprinkler inspection, it would go to one certain fire inspector.
Chief, if I can interrupt you.
Sure.
For a second here. You've used up the last of your 2.5 hours so far. We've got other groups.
Yeah.
If you wouldn't mind
Sure.
taking a break, we can either invite the chief back after the others have done, or another meeting. I'll be honest, there's a lot of information here.
There is.
I tried reading it at
Sure.
home online, okay? I only got maybe a third the way through. Would it be amenable to you to come back?
No,
at
absolutely.
At
I'd love to
another
come back.
meeting, when we've all then had a better, I wanted to at least hear you tonight explain these pages.
Sure.
Okay, the intro, all right? And then, when
Absolutely.
you come back, I think we'll have more questions or better questions. Is everybody,
100%.
Yeah,
all right?
Yeah.
Is everybody fine with that?
yeah, we
Yeah.
appreciate the detail and
Right,
the commentary and
Yeah.
all the, everything.
but why don't we do that?
100%.
I'll
Love
be in
to.
touch, or Ashley will be in touch, we'll reschedule you for another time.
Yeah,
It's gotta be quick, because we only have so many, okay? But thank you very much, Chief,
Absolutely.
for coming in today, for preparing all of this.
my pleasure.
There's a lot of material here. You did a good job.
Tried,
Thank you.
especially for you guys.
Okay, let me get to where we're at here. Next, we have the library, yes. Yeah, library is at 7, 7:15 was water sewer, and 7:30 was building.
Stuff I don't know.
This is, it's probably better, because I just assume.
Yeah, you know
I
the
don't
most.
ask, that's why, because I already know it, so I'm trying to figure out answers to the questions that will help everyone understand what's going on.
Yep.
But I still think we need a lot of water. We need staffing, because the call volume's going up. If they have 2 ambulances, they can respond to fire right now. And everyone's worried about the ambulances Fire is,
Would be nice to have a third ambulance.
Per diem idea.
yeah.
Okay,
It works in a lot of towns.
so now we have before us the library
No,
committee,
No,
not
I
committee,
had
you're, Sage, you're the committee, right, Stefan, right? And you're the director, so you got the table. Introduce yourself to everybody and let's get going.
All right, I'm Betsy Perry. I'm the director at the library. I've been there for almost 2 years. I was the assistant director until Karen left last year, and then I was hired on as the director.
Welcome.
Thank you.
I'm Stefan Sage. I'm the chair of the Library Board of Trustees.
All right, and so what I've just handed you is just what we have going on for events in March at the library, just for your reference, if you want to see what's happening over there, the kind of stuff that we're doing.
Got a copy for me?
All right, so our budget that we submitted is mostly level compared to last year. We have asked for 2 new half-time positions. One was a teen services assistant. Last year, we had asked for a full-time position, and we've knocked that down to half. So 19 hours a week, no benefits. That's a population that we're currently not serving the best that we can because we simply don't have enough staff, and we don't have anybody dedicated to just that segment of our population. The other position we're asking for is a half-time digital navigator. We are currently working through a digital equity grant that the town applied for, and we received, it's a huge grant, it's like $80-something thousand. And part of that is we have had a part-time instructor who's been doing tech help and classes and one-on-one help with folks since last summer. And it's fantastic. There's such a need for this. He's been able to sit with folks. We have different, you can either drop in or you can have a scheduled appointment. And so time varies between like 15 minutes if somebody has a quick question, they just don't know how to do something on their phone. Or sometimes he's been with somebody for an hour and a half because they have in-depth questions. They just, need someone to sit with them. And we can't do that in the course of our regular day. I don't have an hour.
This guy can do anything from how do I work a Samsung 23 to how do I mail merge in a Outlook program?
He's pretty good, yeah.
Okay.
He's actually a teacher, a full-time teacher during the day. And so we hired him, part-time. He works nights and weekends for us, and that works great because it's hitting the times when people need him. Every Saturday is great. We get people coming in. So we really, it's just been fantastic, and we'd like to continue that. The grant will be over at the end of this summer. So if we had that part-time position going forward, we'd need it. We have a lot of classes. He's been doing, in addition to the help, he's been doing a lot of classes too on, things like using Canva or Microsoft Word or, just things that people need help with, and you can't get those classes, so certainly in person, pretty much anywhere, and certainly not for free. So that has been great.
And what's the teen services assistant? I forget. I know we had a little bit of robust conversation on that previously, but what's the role?
So they'll take some of the burden off of Molly, who's our head of youth services, and she does the teen stuff now. They'll be able to select items, books and video games and other things that we have for the teens, and also provide programming. We do, as you see by that booklet I handed you, a ton of programming. And teens are the one group that often will do things that cover teens and adults, but are not just necessarily just for teens. That's the one area where we're not, we don't have the staff to dedicate to do just programs for teens a lot of the time, and it's tough.
Okay.
So one of our goals this coming year is to make a better space for our teens, and so having a teen librarian would be great because they would tell us, what kind of space the teens need, preferably a wall. When you come in to the library, that
wall?
teen area, a wall. Well, if you come into the library from the front door, that very first bit that you get is the teen area. So it's open to complete the reading area, and noise just travels. So we'd like to maybe get them a structured area where they could be free to make a little noise,
As teens will do.
as teens will do. And, just hanging around.
Yep.
They make noise. They're not, doing anything bad or being rowdy or anything, but just existing sometimes can be a little noisy, and it just carries in that reading room.
Yep.
So,
Good. And everything else, like, as you said, looks pretty much the same?
Yeah, we tried to keep everything pretty level. Our service contracts are the same or very minimal increases. Knock on wood, this year, we've had a good year for repairs. So that, I don't want to jinx it, but we're doing okay. I'm working with Jim Burlingame on perhaps a new vendor for the HVAC system. And that should show some cost savings.
It comes up over here.
Yeah, but we've had a new vendor who's been coming in and doing a little service here and there, and they're very responsive, and the costs are significantly less than our existing vendor, and our contract is up this year, so.
So 29,000 download streaming, those are services that you've licensed next to the bottom line?
Yeah,
Those are Netflix and
yeah,
that kind of
our
stuff?
version of those,
Yeah.
yes. Yeah, and ebooks, we do thousands of ebooks and e-audio that people listen to, electronic magazines. We have a segment, we call them invisible patrons, because we don't actually see them, they're just downloading stuff from home, so.
Really? They still have to have a library, digital
Yeah,
library card?
yeah, we hear from them every 2 years when their library card expires.
Yeah. No kidding. That I gotta tell my wife about. She likes the big letter books.
We got a ton of them,
Yeah.
thousands. Yeah, and so over the past 7 months, so since the beginning of the fiscal year, we've seen a total increase of more than 5,000 physical items over the previous year. We're crazy busy with, regular books in addition to ebooks and all the programs. When times are tough, people are using the library. They don't have the money to go to the movies. They come and, we still have DVDs, and we're seeing a lot of that.
Do you track utilization?
Check everything.
You do, okay. And year over year, what is your utilization
It's up,
rising? Okay.
yeah. Oh, look at Stefan brought it.
I'm sure
but-
Stefan's got the numbers. She's
And
always got the
actually
numbers.
in July of last year, we did over 10,000 physical items over our counter, which was a number we hadn't seen since 2019. And that's a lot, just, yes, Stefan brought our annual report. So last calendar year, it's a total of 124,957 items.
Yeah.
That's a lot of stuff.
I was curious if you tracked unique visitors to, say, every now and then I'll bring my granddaughters over and there'll be a bunch of kids. Do you know how many kids, say, use the,
Yep, we have a tracker on the front door, we have a tracker on the back door, and we have a tracker in the doorway to the kids' room, so we can tell how many people came in the back door, and of that portion, how many of them went to the kids' room.
yeah, gotcha, okay.
We can also tell you how many people have attended programs.
Yep,
You can, yeah. All right.
I got spreadsheets for days.
I'm sure. So if we ever ask you to justify a particular program, you can say, yeah, it went from 100 to 120, and it's growing. Okay. Any questions of the library?
The only, everything looks reasonable to me. The only thing, I don't know why, I'm just not understanding the salaries, where I look at last year and I'm seeing the 261, not for department salaries. I see the 261,900, and then for 27 ask, I see 264. Just basically the same numbers, $3,000 difference, right? $3,000 increase for 2027. But then I see the 45,000 in new positions.
Because we asked for a whole person last year. And this time we're asking for two half
The
people.
budget
that-
one would
is
be,
that-
they
so what am I
probably
mi-
hired somebody that was making less than the previous person that left, plus, let me just double check the math, maybe didn't pick it all up. But
mean,
it was
if-
probably something like that where, and I haven't put COLAs in yet,
Right.
so that number will go up when,
Yeah, but that's,
But-
yeah, but that's a percentage. I don't know.
let me do the math, make sure it took everything first.
Why not?
But yeah, we brought me on at less than Karen and my replacement on at less than me, I think.
Slightly,
Yeah, just
slightly, but
because, yeah.
other things are up. When I'm going through the salaries real quick, just doesn't seem like, I don't know.
You're saying from going from 202 to 284?
No, 261 is the 2026.
And then 264 on the right.
Oh, I'm looking at, yeah, you're right.
261
Yeah.
to 2, so very, very close,
Yeah.
but they're adding in the two positions.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I'm just not,
I got
in
you.
my head,
Yep.
What am I missing?
I'll pull 25, I'll shoot you an email. Or 26s, I don't know why. But it could be there, maybe, did you have an extra page? You might have had 3 pages last year, no? I'll look at 25s, or 26s, oh my god, I'm in the wrong year.
Yeah, you're right, when you add 45,000 in salaries.
Right.
But the totals only show 5,000 increase, or,
Yeah,
yeah,
I'm just,
there's a incongruity there.
I'll
All
pull 26's
Okay.
budget and find out.
right, we'll get the answer to that one for you, Deborah.
okay. But other than that, I don't have any other, I think that's all seems.
Any other
reasonable.
questions? I haven't acknowledged Christian and Jamie yet. You guys listening in?
Can hear you, thank you.
Okay, any
So far,
questions?
so good.
Okay, Jamie, any questions? No, she fell asleep. All right, did you want to say something?
No,
He's just there
Yeah.
for more support.
Should we talk about our capital request?
I forgot to give it to them, but if you want to quickly, I think you only had one anyway, right?
Yeah.
What's that?
I
Oh.
don't think their capital made it into the
Yeah,
packet.
I know, there was no I figured,
Sitting on
you
my
just
desk.
said we were all good on the building, so I figured we were good on the building.
We are pretty good.
Other
we-
than a wall.
Yeah, we put in a capital request, for $40,000 to replace the carpet on the main floor. It's now 20 years old. We're experiencing a lot of wear and some wrinkling, which is a tripping hazard. And also, so part of our strategic plan is, like I said, to rearrange and make a space for the teens. So getting a new carpet, we have to move everything. We figured that would be a 2-for-1 project. We can rearrange where we need to and carve out a space for teens. That's dedicated. But yeah, it's showing its age at this point.
Okay. You'll get us that, Ashley, the capital.
Yeah, don't get carpet squares, which are
Okay.
modern
I've got no
marble.
questions. Anybody else doesn't have any questions? Thank you very much for
Thank
coming
you.
in. And hope you enjoyed your first finance committee meeting. I know Stefan always enjoys them, right? Now you're up.
Water and sewer. So I'm Vinny, I'm the consultant for the Water and Sewer Department. I previously operated the plant. I have with me 2 of the commissioners, Mr. Robert Coleman, Mr. Tom Coleman. Hello.
How we doing, guys?
And we have our budget.
I know sewer's in there first, but do you want to start with water?
I want to start with water because it's the smallest one.
Okay.
That's easy.
So generally, there's not a whole lot that goes on with water at our department. Most of it's handled by Southbridge. There's a few items, nothing crazy. We have about 20,000 in maintenance expenses. Typically, we spend about 6,000, but we budget 20. This year, we're probably gonna be trying to spend that 20. We gotta do valve operating on Route 20. We're gonna be looking into a larger project for the water system. We're gonna try to bring the blue tank back online. We have engineers working on that now. They're gonna do a
I'm sorry,
chemical
what is
injection.
the blue tank?
Oh, it's on Route 20 near McClure Engineering.
Okay.
It's a 300,000 gallon water tank that's made to supply the town with water that was taken offline because it couldn't maintain pressure correctly.
Okay.
So they're working on figuring out how to put that back online, and we need chemical injection to maintain it.
Where is that?
Do you know where McClure's office is?
Yeah.
If you're looking at his
Oh,
office,
the
it's
big water
directly
tank
to the
on top.
right.
Oh, okay, okay.
my shop, McClure.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
I got
exactly.
you. I got you.
So yeah, that's one of our big projects for this year, and as long as the engineering goes away, we hope it does, we'll be looking for capital money in the fall for that project.
Now, is that to supply the town system with water should Southbridge have an issue, or?
No, it's just to maintain pressure. So Southbridge pumps it into our town, but the pumps can only maintain pressure to certain volumes. And that tank is supposed to ebb and flow with the volumes.
Gotcha, okay. It maintains 60 pounds or whatever it is.
Right. So Bay Path had some pressure issues with their pump station. And putting that tank online is supposed to alleviate that. Right now, they got a couple of Band-Aids working to fix it. But yeah, that tank will help with a few low pressure areas. So budgetary, again, with water, there's not a whole lot of line items to cover in the budget.
What do the legal expenses cover? The
Just
15,000.
if they need to use.
Yeah, we put it in there, but
Okay.
it's normally not used, but if there was a case that would arise where somebody tried suing or something, we would need to have something to support ourselves.
Or collections, if no one's paying their bill.
Yeah,
Usually we
Let
do
Southbridge
that
handle
here because, like, if they don't pay, so if they don't pay their water bill to Southbridge, at some point it gets liened, because we can lien it to their real estate bill, but Southbridge can't, because obviously the property exists here.
Yep.
So we can lien it, so we would eat that, because it would be on their tax bill, so we would eat that cost, but, and same with sewer, but since we own sewer, it just comes back, but it would get
Yep.
liened to their real estate bill too, yeah.
Yeah, the legal cost itself, it's basically anytime that we engage legal counsel,
Right.
so like, say if they're looking at a easement or some other, anything related to legal things, it would charge directly to them instead of coming out of our
Gotcha.
general counsel.
Yep.
Since they're an enterprise fund, you would charge them directly for their,
yeah, you can see the previous years, we've only spent 2,000 last year and 7,000 a year before. I'm thinking on 2024, we were looking at purchasing some properties,
yeah, they did.
so we were probably using the attorneys for that.
Was that the Gill, I think that was Gill Road, wasn't it, or Road Path? Yeah, they did buy property.
Yeah.
Down by
Yeah.
Buffalo.
So then, moving on to the sewer stuff, this is a lot more my area, I really understand this. But, the sewer department just had to restructure the office. I don't know if you guys know, but Cheryl was the managing director and she retired. So previously, the office was staffed with an executive assistant and a superintendent.
Okay.
Cheryl was kind of doing a quasi role of both. So the commissioners voted on it to bring it back to an executive assistant and a superintendent. It's just more effective. There's checks and balances. All the burden's not on one person to make all the decisions, so it's a better position for the facility to be in.
Yeah, not a single point of failure.
Right.
Gotcha.
So with that, salaries went up. If you look over last year and this year, there's an increase of almost $100,000 because of creating that new position. But if we dug back a few budgets, you'd find it's close to what it was.
And who did you say voted on that to, I just wanna make sure I got.
The water and sewer commissioners.
Commissioner, okay,
Yeah, we had a special meeting
okay,
last week, and they voted to recreate those positions.
okay.
The sewer department right now is doing a rate study to see if our privilege fees are in line with where they should be, and also to see if there's enough charges to cover our expenses. Eventually, we need to replace the facility, so we've been working with engineers to see what that's gonna look like. And part of this rate study will help to see if we can cover it, how much we'll have to go out for financing. And we're hoping to hear back from them in the next month or two to really get some concrete evidence of what we need.
When you say you need a new facility, you mean start to finish?
That facility has been bandaged multiple times now. There was a big upgrade in 2020, another one in 2010, and just like patches put on to an old car. It really needs to just start over and build a brand new place. So every time they add a patch on, they increase the complexity of the facility. And that place is running right on the edge of a grade 6 facility, which for a town that's doing 200,000 gallons of sewage a day, having a grade 6 facility is insane. It
What
should
should
be
it
like
be?
a grade 2 or 3 facility. It should be really low, but because every time the MTAs give really strong sewage, it's hard to treat. So every time they've tried to remedy it, they add another process or another chemical. And that increases the complexity, which increases the grade of facility. There's other facilities that could treat that stuff without all the chemicals, but it's literally a whole new plant.
At what point are we in some state statute violation that we're gonna be forced to deal with this issue?
This
Versus,
plant's been running on that line for years. It's very difficult to maintain regulatory compliance with the current facility. Again, all the engineers step in and say, do this,
that's
and
my
it's
point.
gonna help it. and-
what is the tipping point?
Yeah, we're past it.
We're past it.
Yeah, so the RBCs are the main treatment process of the plant, and they're all pretty close to 20 years old. Some of them are close to 30 years old. They have a 20-year life expectancy. So, we did a study in 2022, and they said we needed 10 more RBCs to treat what we're expected to see in the next 5 years. The problem is the 10 that we have also need to be replaced. At $1 million a piece, it
I was
doesn't
just
take
gonna ask
long.
you, and what's the average cost of one of these
Yeah,
pieces?
they're not quite $1 million, but if you had to fix the ones in the building, they're 26 feet long and 12 feet wide. How do you fix that? You gotta take the roof off. I don't know what it costs to take a roof off of a wastewater plant, but I'm sure it ain't cheap. So, yeah. We've had several meetings with different engineers. Wright Pierce is currently working on it. And they're looking at what's known as a sequential batching reactor. It's basically a big tank, and everything happens in that one tank. And you do 3 of them, so you can start the process here. While this one's working, you start filling your next one. When this one goes through, it drains down, and you move to your next one, and so on. They're really efficient. They don't take much chemical maintenance. There's not much equipment to maintain. So they're simple, and they're really good at doing the job.
And probably expensive to build.
Well, it's all concrete.
Oh,
So
okay.
they're actually more reasonable than a lot of other technologies. I mean, there's other technologies that have been pitched that would be really expensive. They had moving bed bioreactors pitched, which is a bunch of media in a really deep tank, and the growth attaches to that media, and you gotta clean it every year, and those are expensive to maintain. So,
So what are you looking at, building a new building and then getting it online and then shutting the other down?
So, the original ideas is the engineers were saying we should try to buy the property next door to us, the golf course, and just build the new tanks next door. So the plant that we have would just keep running, and when the new one's built, we just throw the switch and turn on the new one. Not so much a new building as new infrastructure, because SBRs are outside.
Okay. Now, when you do the rate study, will the rate study cover the cost of this? What's the town's obligation?
So we have an idea of how much it's gonna cost. It's 12 to 16 million for a 5-year capital improvement plan.
Yeah.
And the rate study's gonna identify how much of that we can absorb with increasing the rates and financing, or if we're gonna have to look for grants and other ways to fund it.
Okay.
So sewer's not bound by Prop 2.5 like the town is, so they could raise rates
Could raise the
50%
rates.
if they needed to, yeah. So theoretically, the sewer customers, your ratepayers, would be the ones, because they're the ones using the plant, they would be the ones responsible for paying for, so that's why they do a rate study to see how much you would have to raise rates. And then obviously the commission would look at that and say, okay, well, if we have to raise rates by this much, we'll try to go get grants to offset some of the cost if we qualify.
Yeah.
And then if they qualify and can get the grants, they'd get the grants to offset the cost, and then they'd raise the rates to make up the rest.
We think our privilege fees are not quite where they need to be. They haven't been adjusted in over 20 years, so they're probably a little on the low side.
We kind of budget almost on a break-even mentality, right? We're not trying to profit from it necessarily.
You don't really.
Yeah, our budget is real close to
Yeah.
break even, yeah.
Right.
They don't really make much.
No.
They run like a business, but they don't make money. They can retain whatever money they do make, but it's not much. They don't have much in
You
retained
can't set a
earnings.
goal, we're gonna get a
Right.
15% return.
Right, they don't get much in retained
No,
earnings at the end
you,
of the
you
year.
and I, Ray, we're used to P and Ls, and
Yeah.
they're just used to expenses, revenues and expenses.
Yeah.
Exactly,
Yeah.
yeah.
So their privilege fee that they get is the amount that if somebody comes to try to hook into the system, you get charged what they call a privilege fee, and that's your hookup fee, essentially.
Makes it tough though, because you could start 5 years in advance and start to get ready for this by
Yeah.
raising rates now. and-
Right, so you gotta think of it, so.
That's what the commissioners have been talking about.
You have to almost have to raise
is,
rates.
Yeah, trying to get it ahead of the project.
And
So-
reserve it, maybe?
Yeah.
You have to raise I think DOR, I have to double check, but I'm pretty sure DOR requires you to raise rates a year in advance in order to prove that you have the money to do the borrowing.
Okay.
So the other big things coming up this year is the operations contract is up for renewal, and they're gonna put it out for bid. So they're gonna put an RFP out, looking for other operators to come in and bid on operating the project. And with that, we're assuming there's gonna be an increase of operating costs. They just did a study of the facility, and originally it needed 2.5 operators, now it needs 3.5 operators, so they need another licensed operator, and that's mandated by the DEP. So when the contract does go out for renewal, whoever offers it is gonna be looking at an added expense of another operator. So that'll cost us a little more in the expense line.
Okay.
But me and Ashley went over the budget, and at the end of it, we managed to pretty much zero it out.
Pretty close to where we.
Yeah, there weren't any items that we could foresee were gonna give us issues covering on our own. Any more
You guys got
questions
a full
for me?
plate over there.
You, what do
Yeah,
you
there was a
believe?
lot going on.
Yeah, yeah, it's a complex little place.
Just to go on, to follow along that, how much in compliance we are with the state, is there any possibility, okay, that they could come in and say, shut it down because you're out of compliance and you're polluting?
No, it never gets to the shut it down point.
Okay.
They do what's called an administrative consent order, which they gives you a certain amount of time to bring it into compliance.
Gotcha, okay.
And they're realistic. They're all people. Like, they know if you're just getting a lot of stuff in and you can't take a lot of stuff out with the plant you have, it's gonna take years to get there.
Yeah.
So when I first started operating the plant, we were having a problem with zinc. Zinc's really hard to get rid of. We tried a bunch of different chemicals. Long story short, we ran on aluminum and we couldn't meet our aluminum limit, but we got rid of the zinc. So they gave us a consent order allowing us to discharge extra aluminum until they wrote a new permit. So there was no fines, no penalties. They are willing to work with you, but yeah, at some point they're gonna say,
Right.
you know, you can't just always violate. You have to figure something out.
No, I think of it in terms of like the landfill, okay, where they come in and say, you gotta cover it. You just gotta do this. So
Right.
I didn't know whether the sewer plant had that same kind of stipulation that could be attached to it.
Yeah, I mean, if you're blowing all kinds of different limits every month, I'm not sure how they'd handle it, but I'm sure they'd be a little more aggressive. But if you're just breaking one,
Yeah.
they'll make some room for you. They'll have you work with engineers to find a remedy temporarily.
Okay.
They know if you're doing everything you can.
Exactly,
As
yeah,
long as they show, yeah, good faith.
yeah.
All right, I've got no other questions of sewer. You guys?
No?
Christian, Jamie, you guys got anything?
Nothing, thank you.
All right, thank you.
All right, hey, thank you very much, Vinnie. Nice,
Nice to meet
appreciate you guys making the time to come in.
Thank you.
I have an answer for you too. Andrew had his handy iPad. So for library, they actually, that was an error on my part. It should only be for last year's budget was 221,100.
So that'll.
So that'd be
so
like
the increase is
40,000.
actually-
That's there's your 40, almost 45,000 right there.
Right, so it's not a $10,000 increase in
Right.
overall budget for the
Yeah.
year, it's a 50,000.
197, 202,
Yeah.
221, that makes sense.
Yeah, so it should be
Okay.
221,100
So I was like-
for the department salary.
I was like, this is great, we're getting 2 people, this
Right.
budget's, budget's the same.
Do it.
You guys figured some stuff out.
Yeah.
Building, okay.
Is this,
Oh, and here, Kurt, I thought it was just gonna be one piece of paper, and then I noticed underneath.
We got a
an even
booklet.
You
Bigger.
gave me an assignment,
Group
and,
of-
you know, it turned into,
We've got a bunch of stuff in there for you.
well, that's right, didn't we?
Floor's yours. What do you
greetings,
got?
gentlemen. For those listening at home, I'm Kurt Meskis, the building inspector and zoning enforcement officer. The budget's the easy part. The budget is what it is, you know, we're gonna get whatever increases in salary that the town deems appropriate to give to us. We're pretty much holding the line on our expenses. I don't have any capital items coming up under the building department, like that.
All the staffing worked out good last year?
Staffing is working good, it's actually working very well. Unfortunately, Michelle Aker, our departmental, her title's on the bottom of one of these things here, services coordinator, got injured her back at home. And she's been out, but she's been working from home as best as she can. She is a very dedicated employee to the department, and we all, wish her well as she goes through the medical procedures to figure out how this is gonna get fixed. So, but we do have Barbara there, who's stepped up to work some additional hours, because we've been working with her, to just accommodate her family life, a 32-hour week for her, but she stepped up to take some additional hours, all covered within the existing budget numbers, so there's no problem there. The past 2 years, you folks have asked me, and I've said, yes, I'll get it done, and I know why it takes me so long to get this done. You've asked about fees, and what the fees the department charges, and maybe what recommendations I would make to change those fees. So the last time my department became before the Board of Selectmen for a full fee in 2018. There have been some minor adjustments. We came back to the board to ask some adjustments upwards in residential solar projects, because they're quite complex and they're quite time consuming. And then somewhere along the line, about 2023, members of the Board of Selectmen took it upon themselves to lower some of our fees. So what I have presented and worked on, and all of this is a draft, it is humongously complicated to try and equalize what various building departments across the Commonwealth, or the area that I deal with, charge for fees. Most of them seem to charge a fee per thousand of construction, anywhere from $7 to $10 per thousand of construction. We've maintained that kind of posture on the commercial side, but I'm leery of doing that on the residential side, because, what's the number that I get given?
The lowest number you possibly can get.
Right, and I don't wanna be delving into their contractual relationships with their customers to verify, what they're selling the house for and stuff like that. And I think it's also a service to the customer to be able to say, to build a house, this is the number. And in 2018, I shifted the department from that a similar methodology on that, based on square footage and a factor and all sorts of other craziness, to a fixed fee.
Okay.
So I would continue down that vein. We I provided you a letter with what I'm talking about. I'll tell you that the total departmental costs, so what you see in the budget page there, plus another $150,000 or so in direct costs because of health insurance. We have 4 employees in the department, $30,000 in employee and health insurance costs to the town, and another $25,000 in permitting program costs yearly. That's the number that it costs to run the department, so about $420,000. Doesn't give any consideration to any other overhead, supervision, keeping the lights on, paying for gasoline, anything like that, because there's this debate about, is a fee a tax? And this is a fee for service. The Massachusetts Finance Committee handbook guidance document, most recently revived in 2025, has a whole chapter 9 dedicated to the discussion of when a fee is a fee for service and when a tax is a tax. And they talk about things like, is this something that everybody gets from the community, or is this a service given to a certain person or group? So when you build a house, you're a person, and you're getting a service from us to inspect that house. So that's why I would maintain that this is a fee, not a tax.
So explain to me the distinction between how you classify it has any bearing on how the money's posted or how the money is.
Well,
I give you
think-
$100 and you call it a fee, all right? I know what that's for, but, so what if you called it a tax?
Well, because if it was a tax, then it would be, under the tax levy. And our whole
He's
prop.
saying like real estate taxes, so at what point is
It would
him
contribute.
working for the town, tax revenue should be paying for his services, or should the fees he generate pay for his services?
So I give you the $100, you either put it into your revolving account or you give it to Ashley to put into the tax
Well, no,
receipts?
he's saying more like, if someone's building a house, at what point should the tax revenue pay for him to go out to inspect it 6 times because you wanted to build a house? Or should we charge you a fee because you're the only one benefiting from you building your house? It shouldn't, so his salary should be covered by fees for most of his services because no one forced you to build a house in town.
Right, otherwise the other taxpayers are paying for it.
Correct, right. So the whole community as a whole isn't benefiting from you building a house.
Or putting in your swimming pool.
Right, or building a garage.
Or building a,
Somebody at the State House has too much time on their hands.
Yes.
why do you say the State House, sir?
I'm assuming all of this comes out of Boston.
No, this came out of this discussion comes out of the Mass Finance Association's handbook.
Okay.
Okay, and I can provide you that handbook. We have it available on the website, or
Okay.
not on the website, but within our documents. So, well, like I say, I'm trying to
Yeah.
give the discussion because there are other people on other boards and other places that believe tax dollars should take care of everything. And certain things are, a good portion of my work is covered by tax dollars. We answer the phone for free. Well, the taxpayer paid for that, We field complaints for free, right? The taxpayer paid for that. The taxpayers as a whole, as opposed to you,
As the owner of that
a
house.
discretionary activity.
Yeah.
We didn't say build a new house.
Yeah.
We didn't say put a $100,000 swimming pool in your yard,
Okay.
right? So I also, I know that you folks are interested in this, but I also have to justify this before the board, the selectmen, because they are the fee-setting authority.
Right.
So this is the discussion that I'm having with you folks to further the discussion with the
Gotcha.
board.
Okay.
I've heard the whole tax versus fee debate. It's been around for a long time, yeah.
Right.
It is what it is. I think, you should try to be self-sustaining, but at the end of the day, you do work, it's a town service in a sense, so we have to back it.
Right.
So, there's the big number, let's press on. So I've proposed a new
I want to know
schedule.
one more number. How much does the building department generate in revenue?
Kurt has that.
Ah. So if you turn to the first page of the fold-out,
Oof. We get fold-outs now. On the third page, do we get a
For-
pop-up of?
no pop-ups, I can't do those fancy pop-ups. So on the right-hand bottom corner of that first page, it's labeled building, shows the income for the past 5 physical years. Or fiscal years, I'm sorry, I always do that.
Income.
Hank, if I can, this is Jamie.
Yep.
Hi, Jamie.
Hi. I just wanted to chime in here to say, I fully support that this is the way that we should be moving forward. I think it's absolutely accurate to say, if I chose to build a house, then I should take on some of that cost or the majority of the cost of the inspectional services. And I feel like I'm kind of curious who would look at that differently. Not that I think we need to get down the road of people, but I think that this is the way to go, and I don't think we need to keep talking about it. I think this is appropriate, and we can move on.
What's appropriate, Jamie? I'm sorry, that calling them a fee?
Charging a fee based on the services that are provided to the customer, which is also a resident in the town.
Right. Which is our current system. Or
Being-
is it? What am I missing here?
Well, okay, so.
But Kurt, you're proposing to increase the fees, correct?
Absolutely.
So that's what I support, that we should be increasing the fees to fund the services that are being provided for that specific permit.
But there's another side to it, though. We're gonna get the tax dollars from that point on in the future, so there's a value added in a way. It could be argued both ways, I think. Is there value added with growth, or is there value added with staying same?
Yes, but.
So there's a lot to it.
We're gonna get some benefit, but at the same point, like, should all of your tax dollars be spent somewhere else? Or should you be should all the taxpayers be responsible because he had to go out to somebody's house 16 times because they couldn't figure out their inspections?
Right.
So it's a hairy line. Like, some things he will do for tax revenues, like you said, answering your phone, answering your email, reviewing your permits, like that kind of stuff. But
Yeah.
in order to go out to your house because because you decided that you wanted to add, let's say, $80,000 addition onto your house, or you wanted to add like he says, $100 swimming pool, should the tax dollars really be responsible because you wanted to do discretionary work at your property?
Right,
Or
but do
should
we,
should you as the taxpayer,
so the $80,000 addition, do we get more tax dollars for that? And does it really do we incur more expenses because of a garage?
$10 per thousand.
Yeah, so we do get money
It's not a
for
really
it.
big number.
Right.
No, but
And I
over
think
20 years.
there's a hairy line to walk because at some point, like sheds and some things, you don't really get the full value of them because they're an additional. There's some formula, I believe, and obviously I'm not the assessor, but Kathy can speak on it better. But there is some formula that goes into that where your primary dwelling, your house, is obviously valued more than any additional pieces on your property.
Right.
So yes, do we get a little bit of revenue from some things? Yes, but also, like we said, at what point is it taxpayers should be responsible for paying for some things, or should? And it's not, you're not.
But it
probably
employs the
incurring all
local
the costs,
carpenters,
but-
the local electricians, and they go
Right.
out to eat in town. And commerce in town is a positive.
Right,
So it could be argued both ways.
right. That's why I say it's a hairy line to walk down of at what point. Obviously, he's not gonna be 100% revenue generating, it's not
No.
a business, but they should probably, at least, I think the handbook, and Kirk can correct me if I'm wrong, the handbook does say there's a certain percentage the building department should bring in revenue to support their operations.
Well, that's
It's
good.
not 100%, but maybe it's 60% or whatever,
So-
there's a
It
standard.
doesn't specify numbers, so let's finish the sort of the train of thought here. Okay, so you asked about income, so bottom right corner, so I can tell you, just looking at those numbers, we bring in about $220,000 in permit revenue a year. I just told you the total expense was $419,000. Yeah, so we are supporting the department with tax dollars. Okay? We have some outliers over there. We've been a little, well, we had a major project or two in town, you know, one of them was called Amazon that, you know, put in, about 1.5 million into this coffer, but that's an outlier. That's an unusual happening, and we're not gonna build, we're not a warehouse community. I don't think we're gonna build 2 or 3 more Amazons in Charlton. The other thing to look at that I wanna point out in this discussion is if we look at the numbers, okay, going to your spreadsheet, is what are comparable communities charging? So, like I say, there's lots of numbers on this. I focused on, you know, single-family homes or dwelling units because it was easy. There's all sorts of other categories. When you look at the fee schedule, there's all sorts of different categories over there. But that was the easiest one to quantify, and I sort of fixed the numbers off of that. Okay? So, a house at construction cost, not sales cost, not land cost, not septic system cost, but construction cost of $500,000 was the number I picked to equalize everything over. All right? So we have on that chart people charging anywhere sterling $5,000 for a single-family home permit. We're currently charging $1,300.
Wow.
The low end, we are the low end. Oh, Brookfield. Brookfield's a funky, really funky permitting number, you know, and I had to put something, let's say they were 1,000. Holden, 1,100. You know, we're a pretty good deal.
Yeah.
So the red line on the graph on the bottom shows our current fee fee charging, and the green line is what I'm proposing that we should be charging. We should be charging $3,000 a house.
What are we charging now?
1,300.
1,300.
I mean, that is a large increase, obviously.
But if you look at all the numbers, it's kind of in the mean. It's right in the middle.
Right, right. It
I
doesn't
mean,
put
you
us,
take out Brookfield because they're 500, and you take out Rutland's 5,000. You kind of somewhere in the middle there.
Grafton's 5,000 too.
Yeah.
Wow. Upton, we are cheap.
Okay? The other two fees that I deal with is plumbing and gas and the electrical inspector, okay, which are the next 2 pages. And you can see a similar trend, the same thing, the way different communities charge for their permits and their inspections, it varies all over the place. Tried to equalize this based on 2 inspections per project, based on the number that they gave us for their permit fees and what we're charging. So we charge $75 per inspection right now. The town retains $5 for administrative fees, and $70 goes to the inspector when the inspector performs the inspection. If no inspection is done, we retain that money. So it's up to those inspectors to, get all the inspections they can if they want to get more money. What I'm recommending is that we would increase that fee to $100 an inspection, retain $20, because administrative costs are certainly much higher than they were in 2018. Everything costs more, trying to edge that number up of the balance between what general revenue pays for and what we get for permit fees. And that would leave $80 to the inspectors, and that's our ability to, keep these gentlemen that have been working for us for a long time. They pay their car insurance, they pay their, withholding. They're 1099 employees, they're subcontractors.
Yep.
So all of those costs are shifted over to them. The community does not do any withholding or anything. We don't pay mileage, we don't pay repairs, we don't pay for their training time. We move to, within that $20, be able to pay for their books, right, because they're assets for the community, and their training classes.
Yep. Okay.
So that's those 2 cases.
So that's what the blanks are.
The other thing that's included in your package is this just little sort of plain sheet just before the fold out. I looked at, and as you look at the fee schedule, right? An in-ground pool, we're currently charging $200. I'm recommending that we up that to $300. And the average price of a pool installed last year is $70,000. So I don't think $300 on a swimming pool, an improvement that doesn't take a lot of work on our department's behalf, side. We review the permit, we ensure that it complies with zoning. We go out and we do a collar inspection, we go out and do a final inspection. So, fees reasonable for services rendered, but fees for the service that is being rendered and what the actual cost of is how I've laid this off.
Do you have any projection if we charge these fees, how that would have impacted like our billing last year or this year? I mean, how much does it close the gap towards the 400? Do we exceed it?
Well, we did, in calendar 2025, we did 37 new homes. So round that up to 40 for easy math, times $1,300, whatever that number is. And I can't do that kind of math, I'm
Do
sorry.
you have a calculator?
That's why
Well,
we got Ashley.
120,000, right?
How many houses did you say?
Say 40 times 1,300,
52.
Oh, yeah, 52 versus 3,000.
And then.
times 3,000, well, 40 times 3,000 is,
And then the other increases are more variable, it's not gonna impact the bottom line as much, it's just a different structure.
Right, it's a little bit of a different structure, it's, trying to deal with, and same thing, I'll point to this sheet again, there's an outlier garage on this project. It's a big garage. You know,
The 277.
I
yeah,
want that.
yeah. People would like to pay that much for houses, but the same thing, I'm looking at the fees, you know, the range of garages, and we're at $75,000 to build a garage. You know, so some of the smaller fees, that's sort of trying to capture that, you know, the $200 garage, the $100 deck permit, which takes 2 inspections and a whole bunch of work. You know, that to get these fees, you know, in line with work expended, realistic to what people are spending on them, so it's, you know. I mean, I have people put down, and this is it, I had somebody put down on their application that their 12 by 12 deck was gonna cost them $6,000. I sort of doubt they could buy the pressure-treated wood for $6,000, let alone get it delivered and have anybody put it there. So that's why I'm, you know, sort of like be able to say to someone, a deck is gonna cost you this. Not.
The fee's X.
Right, the
When
fee
you-
is X, well, I don't care what you, because, same thing, I've had other people, you know, other people that do services for the town of Charlton, they call me up and say, you know, in my town, I'm putting a kitchen in and it's pricey. Guy's coming 3 times, and he wants $10 per thousand. You know, is that a realistic fee for the service? Right, as opposed to saying, okay, it's a minor remodeling project, we're gonna come 3 times and, you know, we'll do that. So that was sort of the harder part of this, is capturing the fact that costs are large.
Right.
And permit fees have been held down because the taxpayer should be paying for your pricey kitchen.
The accessory dwelling, is that the new requirement from the state to build, that you're allowed to build? I see there's not a current
Right. So.
permit for that.
Right, so accessory dwelling units, Charlton has always had an accessory apartment. So
Right.
it was a big
Attached.
one-family house attached.
Yeah.
Okay? The Affordable Homes Act that gave us required or prohibited, let's put it this way, prohibited towns from prohibiting ADUs attached or detached, says that these are separate dwelling units. And it's something we've just got our heads wrapped around.
Right.
So it's not, at $1,300, if somebody was putting up an ADU, I was charging them $1,300 because it's another dwelling unit.
Right.
If I'm adding this dwelling unit to an existing property, which you have to, I mean, you
Right.
can't just have another dwelling unit. I thought that half of that, right, in the spirit of affordability,
And there's a square footage limit too.
square footage limits to 1,250 square feet
Right.
attached and 900 square foot
On it.
detached.
Okay.
So it seemed that, you know, when you know, say I'm gonna charge, you know, the town is gonna charge you $3,000 to make a place for your mother-in-law.
Mhm.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
But I will tell you, those ADUs are pricey.
Yeah.
I have one that's being finished up in town, about 900 square feet attached to the house, $250,000.
Yeah.
Have a proposal for one that's winding its way through the permitting process, 3 stories, walkout. The walkout can't be counted as part of the ADU because of the size restrictions,
Oh, good to know.
$400 and some thousand.
Hmm.
So, affordable housing and ADUs, I don't know that they're inclusive, but,
Okay.
It seems reasonable to me. I think the only two, like, just looking at it, like, that is the primary dwelling, 13 going to $3,000, and then the accessory garage, 250 going to 1,000. Those are just huge increases. Everything else seems like it's just like a percentage or like a round number. But I know the research you did with comparing to the other towns is great, and I think it seems fair. Just They're just large increases
It's
gonna be
compared
a
to.
sticker shock.
It
We'll go
is,
for
yeah,
that, yeah.
and
Right,
I don't
we-
know if it deters anybody from building here or not, or, you know.
The other thing, though, I think you're gonna look at, Jeremy, and look at that last column, the number of inspections.
Right, how much work.
And on
for-
those two items
Yeah.
that you just mentioned,
Oh,
those
I
are
know.
the two highest, 7 and 5.
Right.
Okay. So to me, that's an easy justification to say, hey, we gotta raise these rates.
You know, and I know that, you know, you guys were just presented this information as you came into the room today. You know, I've always come before this board in a discussion fashion. You know, I don't have a lot of great, you know, I quietly ask for what I need when I need it, and we get to it when we can afford it. But, like I say, this board has asked for the past 2 years for me to review this information, and
Yeah.
it's been an interesting but monumental project.
Yeah.
When are you going to present this to the Board of Selectmen, or have you?
No, I have not presented it to the Board of Selectmen. Do you want me to spew for it?
Say our hope was to get some feedback from this committee tonight, so that way, when you
That's-
guys reconvene with the joint.
That's where I was going,
That we can all kind of listen to the final recommendation.
right, were you looking for a motion from us tonight?
Well, at least, I think at least support,
To
so when he
support-
goes in front of the
to
select
support this,
board
right.
at your joint meeting in April, that you guys were on board with Kurt, so that it was like a joint.
Can I ask one question? Because he asked, like, where I wanted to go was with, and you said 37 new houses, new primary dwellings that you did last year. Do you have the full breakdown where you can just shoot it out in an email of, like, for each, I know there's a lot of different permits, so it's a lot to ask, but do you have any way of, just because, I mean, I could do the math pretty quick to see, like, what it was last year, what it will be based on the new fees, if it were to mirror close to what we did last year as far as permits? Myself, I mean, I could do that myself quick.
I could get it done.
Yeah, but you don't have it like,
No, I haven't. You know, there are so many categories and stuff like that that, you know,
Yeah.
I might, you know, I'd have to, I could ask Michelle if the permitting program can generate a breakdown like that.
So on the variable cost for like plumbing and electrical, is there a limit to the number of times they have to go out? Or what if, I'm just saying, you know, an inspector decides, let's make some money here and we're gonna go out, nope, not good enough, I'm coming back, not good enough, coming back. You know, all of a sudden we go from 2 average, because we capped it, to 6 average inspections. How is that managed?
We have professionals that work for us. That's the first thing I'm gonna say.
Yeah.
Is that, you know, when there is oversight, you know, I give technical guidance and a lot of guidance to the gentlemen that fill those positions. They are appointed by the Board of Selectmen and technically supervised by Mr. Golis back here. So contractors will call up and complain. I get more complaints than I get, you know, we get more complaints than we get people giving us attaboys, because that's the nature of the business, right? A house, if a competent plumber is doing a house, you could have, for plumbing, you could have an underground for the basement, you could have a rough for the house,
Yep.
and a final, right? That's generally sort of what we see.
Yeah.
Some plumbers have problems following the plumbing code, and there be maybe 1 or 2 additional inspections. I know that our inspectors are somewhat accommodating, and they go, well, you know, I'm gonna be in the area tomorrow, I'll just swing by and take a look. That's lost revenue on their part.
Right.
But we are, you know, gentlemen and professionals about it.
I'm saying just the way to maybe manage it would be like 3 inspections at the rate, and then after that, it's a diminishing amount, it's 50%. So they don't get quite the same amount, so they're, you know, hopefully they could be more of a coach if they're gonna go back 6 times and say, look, this is what you need to do, and then, I don't know, I'm just saying.
Hopefully, if they're
might-
going back, they're
might-
only looking at that one thing that needed to
Might-
get fixed anyway, so it'd be a lot quicker inspection, so the reduced rate would work.
Right, to be honest with you, as a builder, I would be a little leery of an open-ended ability to charge me. At
Well-
least I know up front, I'm paying $300, I get 5
No, that's what we're
inspections,
talking
3
about, the other
inspections.
fee is per inspection. The plumber and the electrical
Right.
inspectors
Right,
is,
so now we're saying, okay, you're gonna charge $500 for renovations and additions, and that's typically 4 inspections, right? And you're saying, from what I thought I heard you were saying, now he's gotta go back a fifth time or a sixth time, and you wanna see a reduced additional fee?
Well, no, I thought it was $100, like when we're on plumbing, you said $100, the inspector's gonna get 80, and we're
Right.
gonna retain 20. Is there a limit to the number of inspections? Is it $100 every time?
It's $100 per inspection.
Right, so how do we cap at what point do the
trust
inspectors
the
become?
current highest
Well, no,
be honest with you.
it's a self-capping thing, because the plumber's probably working on a fixed price for the house,
Yeah,
okay? And the plumber, a competent plumber, right, is gonna do the job right. The incompetent plumber, or the person that doesn't wanna follow the direction, needs a little, motivation
Motivation.
to perform correctly.
so just so maybe I understand the current system, we charge a flat rate.
No.
No, we charge
Plumbing-
per
plum-
inspection every
Plumbing
time.
and electrical inspections are charged per inspection.
Every time, so that's not even changing.
No, it's just the rate.
Okay.
Just the rate, right.
And if they don't go back out for the inspection, we're not charging for it
Right.
either.
No, I was under the impression it was, that structure was changing too.
No, I'm sorry, no, it's,
Just increasing what, instead of it being 75 per inspection, it's gonna go up to 100.
Yeah, that's fine.
Would you like a motion from us tonight to support the draft buildings fee schedule dated February 25th, 2026?
Yeah, I think.
So that when you go to the Board of Selectmen, you say, yeah, we discussed it with the Finance Committee, they liked it.
we,
Ultimately, this was it kind of came as a directive of the Finance Committee to look into this, so I think
Right.
if it goes to the board, it should be
Right.
supported by the Finance Committee as
Yeah.
their as
Okay.
the Finance Committee's initiative.
Christian, Jamie? Jamie, you still there?
I think Jamie logged off.
Okay, Jamie
I
logged
think
up.
Jamie dropped off, but
Alright.
I support it, Hank.
Okay,
Kurt, if you could please ask about the permit breakdown, because I would feel a lot more comfortable if we knew how much this actually would contribute to, and I'm not going against the fees versus taxes of funding the department or anything like that. I just would really like to know how much this would increase the overall fees to.
okay,
But-
so,
all right, well, I thought that what you had said was about $120,000
Per
had
home.
this structure been
Right.
in place in 2025,
That was just for the homes, yeah.
just for the
Yeah,
home.
just-
No,
those
I
40
did the
homes.
quick math.
But the
I only
other
had-
fee
I only had it
structures
at
aren't
like
changing that much.
$50,000 increase.
Well, right, right, so if it was from 56,
Yeah,
well, it was
52 to
52,000,
120, right?
110. I thought.
110.
yeah.
So that's 60, but I don't know what the other, I don't know
Yeah, the
what the other fees are.
electrical and
Right.
plumbing and those.
what I can do, and what I'm hearing you asking me, Mr. Foskett, is if I took 2025 permits and said this is what the
The
total
number.
number was,
Yes.
and break it out somewhat,
Yeah,
and then insert proposed fees into the same number of units work.
yeah,
Yep.
Okay,
if that's possible.
I'll get my best person on it.
All right, and you'd like to see that
I would just like to
before we
see
do
what
a
it-
motion?
Yeah, I think the
Yeah.
motion would be easy if, without knowing it, it's just like we're guessing. I don't like to guess.
Mhm.
It sounds great. I mean, everything
Yeah.
on here, it doesn't seem out of line in any way. It seems perfect. I mean,
No, I-
knowing the number and how much we close the gap, we have responsibility to, number one, we're paying the overall budget.
Right.
And then how much of this helps, subsidize that is, I think it's important. That, it's good to actually close that gap, especially where it hasn't been closed in how long?
Yeah, we were just talking, like, even just the price of homes from 2018 to now. So
Yeah.
maybe $1,300 on a $200,000 house or $250,000 house in 2018 was reasonable. It's not so much when homes are selling for over 500,000, probably 750,000, like, that's just not reasonable anymore. When a builder's coming in to build a house, and he's only paying $1,300, and he's turning around and flipping and selling the house for $750,000, it just,
Right.
it's a fee reasonable to what the cost of the project is too. It's like I'll take sewer, like sewer's privilege fee for someone to hook up to sewer, do you know how much it is? It's $8,200. Do you know how much it would cost for you to build a septic at your house right now?
50, 40?
Oh, probably $20,000-$30,000, I'd say.
North of
more than
30,
that.
north of
Right, so
30,
for you to hook
yeah.
to sewer for $8,200, that fee hasn't been changed in so many years. Probably when a septic system probably cost you maybe
10.
12,000 or something. So that was a reasonable fee. So it's just, it's, you should keep your fees reasonable to what your,
And
we're
like
not
Jeremy
looking to
said, I don't
make.
think any of it's gonna
Right.
deter growth.
Yeah, and I'm actually more worried about going over what
I don't-
what the department
Right.
actually, than actually being, if we're a little under and it's a little
Oh, yeah,
subsidized by
I
the,
And you do
by
wanna
the,
be under, you don't wanna ever be over, right?
that's
yeah.
what
Right, yeah, I'm not, and some communities, and I work with other building officials, some communities that have lots of large projects whose departments bring in 6-7 figure numbers annually and can't get the support like the town of Charlton has given my department and have enough help, have 2 or 3 inspectors when they really need them, because it all gets pushed into the general fund to fund other activities, and the building official sees that, right? Yeah, he knows what he's turning over.
Right.
And if he's turning over $3-5 million a year and is struggling under a half a $500,000
Right.
budget,
That's why I was wondering, it almost sounds like whoever developed this question of fee versus, was looking to make revenue-generating departments become self-sufficient.
well, what it
Almost sounds
comes
like
out,
that's
what
where
it
they
comes
headed.
out of is remember, when Prop 2.5 came into play, revenues were capped.
So you had to get creative.
So people started, tried to get creative, and some things, like charging for fire service because you're a nonprofit or a non-tax, tax-exempt property, did not fly, did not pass the legal test. Where this fee for service, right? The fire department is a service available to the whole community and protects the whole community. The building permit activity is it's, and one of the examples they use in this analysis is those communities that have harbors and docks, right? And docking fees, mooring fees, right? That's a fee for a service that's not, that I that don't have a boat don't pay because I don't use that service. All right, thank you, gentlemen, thank you, ladies. Thank you.
All right,
yeah, thank you, Kurt.
Appreciate it. No, I was trying to understand what it is you were looking to get to.
Yeah.
I think we're on the same page there. I didn't wanna go over either. So if we cut into the cost of the town, why not?
Yeah.
Am I right? I mean, I don't know.
But when you say go over, so building department uses $450,000 a year, you don't want to see us collecting 500.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, and to be close is good. It's all justifiable in my mind. And just without knowing kind of at least roughly what those
Okay.
numbers equaled, it's really hard
All
to.
right.
And we're so
But
close.
until you said, I didn't want to go over, I wasn't quite sure where you were headed with your discussion. That's all.
So we could always factor in, the other overhead too with the department, so.
It's just philosophically, I've always been against the theory that a department should be self-funding. Okay, because otherwise the police are gonna say, well, wait a minute, we collected $200,000 in traffic tickets, how come we don't automatically get that 200?
Right.
And I just don't wanna set that precedent.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so-
that
so the
is
nice
true.
thing-
That is true.
The nice thing about
That is true.
about the building fees too, though, is that he only retains $10,000 of it at the end of the year. That comes back to general fund revenue, so that does turn back to free cash.
Right.
So he wouldn't be, his fees reasonably, and he's only allowed to use his revolving fund on certain things, and it's for like their permanized systems, and it's like fees and sort of, he can't go and like buy.
And it's the fact that he turns back the money,
Yes.
every department turns back their revolving over
Right.
above, okay? Then, to me, confuses the issue of fee versus tax, okay? Because we're automatically turning it back, so whatever money
But-
was spent by the department for a select group of people, okay? He still benefits the whole town, because he's
It's-
generated
You
revenue.
have to think of it as tax levy, so like your property value
Yep.
and the amount that you pay for your real estate and property taxes, or personal property taxes, versus all your other revenues. So if you look at like the revenue budget, your tax levy is what they refer to as a tax. So the
Yep.
money that you generate from your property taxes
Yep.
is tax, that's tax revenue. Everything else is other revenue or fees or
Right.
fees collected. That's other revenue. That's how you can balance, that's how you get your balanced budget. So when they say tax, they mean the real estate. It's like the value of your home and your land, not not everything else. Cause you can only go up so much on that. So some of his department should be funded from tax, but some of it also, obviously, he should bring money back into the town because no one's requiring you to go out and build houses and build these extravagant things. And then obviously like the maintenance, we had talked about like maintenance things, like house, like siding, windows, roofs, like those things he kept the fee low because we obviously would want you to not be deterred from upkeeping your home.
Yeah.
So,
No, it makes sense.
Yeah. Interesting conversation, to say the least.
Very interesting.
Too many interesting
I know,
conversations
yeah.
tonight.
Yeah, I was getting lost with the fire. There was just too much there
There's
for
a
me
lot.
to
He has a
follow
lot.
through. on
There's a
fire.
lot there.
So,
I did
like-
tell him, that's why I said, you don't have a lot of time, you got a lot
No,
in there.
and then I see other people here and say, oh,
Yeah.
there was scheduled for.
Yeah, he would talk
This is
forever.
done?
All right. Yeah, well, we're gonna vote on that now, yeah. So next, I'll entertain a motion to approve the January 21st, 2026 meeting minutes.
Make a motion.
I have a motion, I have a second. Any discussion? Christian, any discussion?
No, I approve.
Okay, there being no discussion, all those in favor say yes.
Yes.
Christian, yes?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I vote yes, it's unanimous.
Let's go to you.
Now that can go to Ashley. Okay. Next was just, I just put down here a review of that school committee presentation. I put it into the Dropbox folder, so you would all have a chance to look at it. I know Jeremy and Ray were here, were there with me. I'm just gonna throw it out on the table. I didn't have anything specific, but if, Andrew, you wanted to give your overview of how you see it fitting into the town's budget, okay, as we get further down the road.
Yeah, I mean, I think that what was presented was definitely a lot more favorable than what we were projecting. I think that it'll be very interesting to see how it plays out with the dynamics of the two towns. Specifically, my early projection as to what I thought Dudley's minimum net school spending contribution was higher than what I anticipated it to be. I think we were almost spot on of what we thought ours was gonna be. And that might generate some deliberation over there as to what is affordable.
Yep.
But the number for us did come in lower than what I thought it was. I think we were initially projecting overall at like 11%, and their draft version 2 budget is about a 7.45 with capital.
Yep.
So it's not horrible. We can make it work.
Oh, good.
Yeah, I said,
Encouraging words.
We've already pretty much put everything in, so,
Huh?
we're almost there with budget, so
Are you? You getting close?
we're just waiting on health insurance, for the most part.
Yeah, and I'd say that with anything, you know, I think our biggest concern is always just making sure that, or trying to look for a target that our new growth and our Prop 2.5 estimate, like our next year's budget, fits within. And, you know, it's tough to kind of gauge in these times where we're really kind of seeing some slingshots. And that's kind of what Ashley and I are looking at right now, is kind of how close to that new growth and 2.5% increase can we keep FY 27's budget to FY 26 and maintain that level of unused tax levy.
Right, because we really took into consideration what you guys had said, I think, last meeting, about making sure we're not spending all of what we turned back last year. So I'm really trying to make sure we have a cushion at the end, knowing that we're not spending all of that unused tax levy, because obviously it would raise everyone's taxes more, so.
Well, and it would raise taxes more, but also if you were to just increase your operational budget to just use all the tax levy that you have, it's gonna put the town in a horrible position as it looks to the next year's.
Right.
And then you have to think about the cost of living adjustment, the contractual increases, the
Yep.
insurance increases, the school increases.
Right.
And if your new growth plus 2.5 for that next year does not cover all of those factors, then you're talking override and cuts.
Right. That's
So-
where actually a lot of communities are at, I think, at that point right now, where they've used up all their levy
Excess.
capacity and they have nowhere to go, so they're looking at cuts. Health insurance
Because
is
of
crazy.
health insurance.
Yeah, health insurance is a big ticket, I think, we had a meeting with, our Central Mass accountants a couple weeks ago, and that's, I feel like everyone's big ticket is health insurance and then contractual obligations, so,
You don't know where it's gonna come from.
right.
Right. So we're playing that kind of balancing act right now of having a sustainable operating budget, being able to keep a healthy levy, excess levy capacity, but also trying to put money into stabilization so that way if things do end up in a tight spot in the future, we have the ability to cover our short term.
Still looking at about $300,000 for new growth?
That's what we're using as a benchmark.
As a
right now.
benchmark.
I
And,
think I even lowered it to 250.
Yeah, I know, you'll get closer when we get closer.
and,
to
and
it.
we know
Going
that
back to
that's.
normal land.
And that's the thing is we can't benchmark ourselves off the last 5 years. You know,
Yep.
we're trying to benchmark ourselves pre-2020.
Right.
So because there's been some outlier every year for the last 5 years that's really, you know, you can see it in the permitting fees where it's like, yeah, the housing permits were only an average of, you know, 200,000, 250,000. But you had those like $500,000 outliers in 4 out of 5 of the years. Well,
Yeah.
I'm not seeing that for next year. It could happen, but I'm not seeing it. So
Okay.
let's budget as conservatively as we can.
Yep. Sounds good. And the next item up was the update on the health insurance, but that's what you said. You're still meeting with the,
Well, so we met, I think we have a good game plan going in. We have a IAC meeting tomorrow internally. We had the Hampshire County IAC today, so the Hampshire County right now, they voted on rates for July 1st, so it's gonna be a 12.48% increase plus copay increases plus a $250, $500 deductible. So that's where they're going into. We do have preliminary, I shouldn't say preliminary, we do have another, so,
Another offer.
yeah, we went out to bid, no one bid on us. We got declined to quote from like 4 companies, so that was awful. But we
why, because
did-
they don't do municipalities or because we've got a
No,
bad
Because of the
loss
market.
run?
the market, and we don't have enough people, and our claims weren't great, so we're not big enough.
Yep.
Maybe if we had a school and you had some more people, there's like 120 of us, there's not a lot, big,
Yep.
people really don't wanna, so like going out to like a Blue Cross or a Harvard Pilgrim directly, they don't want to quote on you because you're not large enough.
Right.
And then, the other company we went out to is Maya, they're really not quoting on a lot of people right now unless your claims are like the best, so they declined to quote, and then there's just not a lot of health insurance companies so the problem is because we're a municipality, only certain health insurance companies can bid on you because you follow chapter 32B. So it limits who you can, so there's only a handful of them, so I think Maya, who uses Blue Cross, won't bid on us. Blue Cross directly, even though we use them now, won't bid on us. Harvard Pilgrim wouldn't bid on us, and then I think they tried, was it Cigna or Mass General, and they declined to quote on us too. So
Okay.
we do have a quote right now from a group that actually the Dudley Charleston School District is part of. It's called Mass Strategic Health Group. And they did come back to us with, I think, 3 different options. We could keep our current plan design, switch to Harvard Pilgrim, and they'd give us like a 5% increase. So it's no copays, no deductible, same copays we're paying now, and it would be a 5% increase to everybody. I did also ask them because Hampshire Group did change. They were originally going to go to a $500 and $1,000 deductible. They did actually come back and they changed to $250 and $500, so $250 individual, $500 family. So I did actually ask our insurance advisors if they would look at Mass Strategic again and ask them if they did a $250, $500, what the rate increase would be, and it would be like a 2.5% increase. And then they did come back to us and say, well, if you do institute deductibles and you go 500 individual, 1,000 family, you can keep your 3-tier rate structure, which was kind of a non-negotiable for us because it does save us a lot of money by having an employee plus 1 plan rather than making somebody that had a employee and a spouse pick up a family plan, so it's a big cost savings to us. So we can keep our same 3-tier rate structure at a $500, $1,000 deductible, and it would be a 0% rate increase to us.
That sounds good.
So that's kind of where we're at right now. We're gonna vote with the have the IAC tomorrow kind of give us a recommendation, and then us two and Lynn will take that into consideration and kind of choose where we land.
Yep.
Obviously, I think we're kind of leaning towards going to Mass Strategic, just because obviously we all just took a 40% hit. Obviously, that wasn't just a 40% to our employees, it's also 40% to budget, so
Yep.
it is painful. So to come back this year and have a 0% would be beneficial. But we do have to keep in mind is that if we are leaving Hampshire Group for 18 months, we are responsible for our claim run out. So we might see a 0% increase to rates as the employees, but your budget won't, because I do have to factor in money to be able to pay for our claims for 18 months.
Yeah.
So
But
that's
it's
kind of where we're
basically
at
an
now.
unfunded liability, but
Yeah.
without a number attached to it.
Correct. So we've kind of talked strategically kind of ways that maybe we could fund those, and kind of plan for it. We do have our previous 24-month claims, so I know kind of how much we've paid out. So I could almost just take an average of that, and maybe we can figure out some ways to fund it, whether we fund it budget or just use free cash in the fall. Kind of going back and forth between that right now, so it's not terrible. I don't know how the employees will feel. We haven't really gotten much pushback.
Right.
By switching, but again, I know we're not gonna please everybody. Going from no deductible at all to a 500 and 1,000 is gonna be a sticker shock for people. But I did the math today, between what Hampshire was proposing plus the deductible, it was still like $1,300 for a family plan that they're paying out of pocket with the increase plus the deductible. And that was only a $250 deductible. So you're still saving, by no increase in $1,000 deductible, you're still saving $300. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
It is what it is.
we're trying,
If
so,
no one's
yeah.
bidding on us, I hate to say it, we're not a good
Right.
book of business either.
Right.
Yeah, so the thought process that I guess we've had is that this, we know this whole staying with one, I guess, place really isn't feasible anymore. You're gonna have to go out to the market every few years and try to
Yep.
get the best game plan.
Yep.
I think if we make this jump, our next jump would probably be the GIC at some point, so
Yep.
that's just been in the back of our mind, because this obviously isn't feasible in the state. You will have guaranteed insurance, I know we don't get a say, but you have guaranteed insurance, it's not awful, it's good insurance, right now, our rates are just better, so once we hit that point where our rates aren't better than the GIC, I think we
Yeah.
just make the jump for the employees, so.
Good luck hitting
Yeah.
that moving
Yep,
target.
we've learned, we're like I said last night, I'm like an insurance expert at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think with the deductibles, like even if it was just to keep the plan design as it is and take the 5% hit, going into this trust group, with other communities, they want to try to work toward parity at some point, and everybody else in there has the deductibles already. So I think that eventually we're gonna have to bite that bullet.
Gotcha.
And if we're gonna make the change, let's make the change now and put the money back in the employees' pockets.
Yep.
So that way, it's, we're not coming back every single year and asking for a plan design change until we finally have this, till we finally meet the sweet spot. Like, let's just get to where they wanna be now and see a 0% increase to everybody next year.
Let's rip off the bandage.
Right.
Yep.
All right, last time I got was unknown at time of meeting, and so what I would like to let everybody at home know is the town got an award. I don't know, what do I do, Drew? Hold it right there so everybody can see it? Yeah, there we go. So anyway, Andrew and Ashley were awarded from the Government Finance Officers Association the Certificate of Achievement for Excellence in Financial Reporting, presented to the town of Charlton, Massachusetts. And they left lots of buttons where we can grow, okay? We got the 2024 button here, hopefully we'll get all the rest of the buttons to fill that in, so congratulations,
Thank you.
Andrew and Ashley, for a job well done.
Well
Team
deserved.
effort,
Well deserved.
Yes, so I submitted 2025, so hopefully we get a nice 2025 medallion, so
That's
that'll
right.
be nice.
That's right.
It's our goal.
All right, anybody got anything else? Christian, anything? You good?
I'm good, thank you.
All right,
Congrats, Ashley and Andrew.
I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. I have a motion, I have a second. Any discussion? There being none, all those in favor say yes?
Yes.
Opposed, say
Yes.
Yes, I vote yes, it's unanimous. Thank you all, and our next meeting is March 11th.